Yep. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Puri Brajikacharya Ashtotar Satyashri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Friday, April 19th, 2024 in New York. And we are reading tonight in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 30, description of adverse fruit of activities, starting tonight with text number 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vartayam lupyamanayam arabdhayam punaha punaha lobha vibhuto nisattvaha pararte kurute spriham. Kapila Deva speaking of the unfortunate materialist. When he suffers reverses in his occupation, he tries again and again to improve himself, but when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of excessive greed. Kutumba bharana kalpo mandabhagyo vrito dyamaha shriya vihina kripano dhyayan shvasiti mudhadhi. Thus the unfortunate man, unsuccessful in maintaining his family members, is bereft of all beauty. He always thinks of his failure, grieving very deeply. Evang svabharana kalpam tat kalatra dayastata nadryante yata purvang kinasha iva gojaram. Seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others, do not treat him with the same respect as before, even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn-out oxen. Purport. Not only in the present age, but from time immemorial, no one has liked an old man who is unable to earn in the family. Even in the modern age, in some communities or states, the old men are given poison so that they will die as soon as possible. In some cannibalistic communities, the old grandfather is sportingly killed, and a feast is held in which his body is eaten. The example is given that a farmer does not like an old bull who has ceased to work. Similarly, when an attached person in family life becomes old and is unable to earn, he is no longer liked by his wife, sons, daughters, and other kinsmen, and he is consequently neglected, what to speak of not being given respect. It is judicious, therefore, to give up family attachment before one attains old age and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should employ himself in the Lord's service so that the Supreme Lord can take charge of him and he will not be neglected by his so-called kinsmen. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As we previously discussed, previous chapters were full of the do's. Now we're getting the do nots, the negative examples, what not to do, which are sometimes just as valuable as the positive ones. And I'd like to find the source of this, but I had always heard that Prabhupada said discussing the miseries of material existence is also kirtan. So this chapter is full of kirtan. Earlier, we heard that the unfortunate man thinks always of his failure. And of course, the fortunate man thinks always of Krishna. And then at the end, Prabhupada says, it is judicious, therefore, to give up family attachment before one attains old age. And we've heard Maharaj speak to this point so eruditely in the past, and we'd love to hear more should he be so inspired. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Pashtata Shatani. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sambhavitasya Chakirtir Madanad Atirichyate. For a respectable person, a person who's been honored, dishonor is worse than death. But this is what happens. A man is the head of the family. He's maintaining everyone. Everyone looks to him. But later, he's useless. The example is practical. That a bull who can work, now there's a bull. An oxen who can work, there's an ox. But an old ox, all he can do is eat. On the income and expense chart, he's an expense. There's no value, no income. So naturally, with an eye toward the bottom line, one thinks how much longer is this ox gonna live? And one looks forward to the day when the ox will expire and the expense will be wiped off, can be deleted from the chart. So an old man is like that. What can he contribute? He doesn't contribute money, and he's grumbly. He's full of complaints. He needs this. He needs that. So he's a burden. the wife married for the benefit of the husband, not for the benefit of the father and father-in-law. But she's got to contend with this old grumbly man, and the young man also has to humor him and or anyway provide for him. So perhaps dutifully we do so, or perhaps not so dutifully, or perhaps we just farm the old man out to an institution. But in any case, we're paying and we're not getting any benefit, and therefore we're more or less neglect that old man, or anyway, whatever. This, of course, is adverse fruitive activities. It may not quite always be so bad, but it's an unhappy position to be an old, non-contributing member, uh, smiled upon or frowned upon. That's described in the Vidura's teachings to Dhritarashtra, his instructions to Dhritarashtra. You're thinking you're the respectable uncle of Yudhisthira, but you're just falling apart. You're just like an old. Your body's like an old and worn out piece of cloth, and what a miserly existence you're undergoing. So this is the position of the old man. It's an unhappy position, and yes, therefore one is advised better to get out of family life. As they say, get out while the getting's good. All right, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. I had a question actually. When Prabhupada says here that, yes, it is judicious to give up family attachment before one attains old age. Practically speaking, what does this mean? Let's say, a man determines, I am going to give up attachment, but what is the actual process for giving up something that one is attached to?
You walk away from it. That's the practical thing. If it's either you walk away from it or you send it away, you have you're no longer attached to a car. You're no longer, so then you sell it or whatever it is. It's not just that I say, well, I'm no longer attached to my Ferrari, but I keep it, along with my there was a prime minister that devotee who's in whose office the devotee was working. He had a whole collection of cars, classic cars, sports cars. So he was an old man, but he was attached to these cars. So detachment means either you walk away from them or you sell them. Not that, well, I'm detached from them, but I'm holding on to the whole collection. So detachment from family life means essentially that we start, well, of course, in family life, one is supposed to be detached. That instruction is given to Maharaj Yudhisthira, that even while situated in Grihastha life, one should be detached. One should be detached. That means one has control of the mind, control of the senses, and one is Krishna conscious. So that even while, what is that? Padmapatram vivambasa, even while in the material world, he's not really connected with it. But then finally, itvatmapatam griyamandakupam vanam gatoyat tarimashriyeta. Detachment from family life means going on to the next stage, the vanaprastha life, about which, as you've mentioned, I've already said a lot.
Thank you very much. Prabhu Krishna Prabhu has this to say. Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj from Rajkot would say, leave home before they ask you, when are you leaving?
And he said he was the practical example. And he left everything for preaching Bhagavatam.
Tulsi Priya says there is a trend called Swedish death cleaning. The idea being that you get rid of all your belongings before you die, so your heirs aren't forced to deal with all the junk that has value only to oneself.
Mm.
Thank you for that. Last, we were going to hear from, just a moment here. We were going to hear from Shara last, and then we ran out of time, and I wonder if she's able to read.
Sure.
Cool. So we're at text 14 now.
14. All right. Give me 1 second. 14. All right. Tatrapyajata nirvedo briyamana swayambritai jarayopata vairupyo marana bimuko grihe. Translation. The foolish family man does not become averse to family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. Deformed by the influence of old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death. Purport. Family attraction is so strong that even if one is neglected by family members in his old age, he cannot give up family affection, and he remains at home just like a dog. In the Vedic way of life, one has to give up family life when he is strong enough. It is advised that before getting too weak and being baffled in material activities, and before becoming diseased, one should give up family life and engage oneself completely in the service of the Lord for the remaining days of his life. Therefore, it is enjoined in the Vedic scriptures that as soon as one passes 50 years of age, he must give up family life and live alone in the forest. After preparing himself fully, he should become a sannyasi to distribute the knowledge of spiritual life to each and every home.
Thank you for reading. Any thoughts from your side?
I was just one thing that came to mind while I was reading is, you know, as devotees, we know about Vanaprasth and how that is a goal to be attained, but it seems to me like it would be quite hard if we're not keeping that in mind and practicing Krishna consciousness every day to attain that goal. Like, it's not like as soon as you hit 50, if you haven't been, really trying to progress in spiritual life, that you'll be able to say, okay, well, now I'm going to give up everything and just, serve Krishna and his devotees. It seems like it's something that you work your whole life toward, which makes me a little more mindful of what I'm doing now. That's it.
Mickey, thank you. Thank you. Maharaj, we'd love to hear from you, should you?
You're right on point, Shara, that it requires or calls for planning, for being being mindful that this is where I'm going next. Of course, it's possible, just as Vidura delivered a shock to Dhritarashtra and dislodged him from family life, but that's unusual. Or one may, even in there are examples. Who was that? Maharajayati? He was just absorbed in sense gratification, but at a certain point he became disgusted with it and thought, all right, enough of this, and became detached. But it's certainly easier if we've molded our lives in such a way that when the stage comes, we're ready for it. Okay, this is the next phase. That makes life so much better. There's some points in the verse itself. The Briyamana Swayam Vritaihi, the people that he maintained now have to maintain him. Again, it's a sort of, what's the humiliation? A humiliating position to be in. I used to maintain these people, now they have to maintain me. So, Jariya, and begrudgingly, they're not really delighted about having to maintain me, but somehow now I have to be maintained. And Jariya Upata Vairupya. Vairupya means ugly or bent out of shape. How does Prabhupada deformed? That's what happens in old age. And in youth, one is strong, one is good looking, one, yes. But in old age, strength is gone, the spine is bent, the skin is wrinkled, the mind may be a little wrinkled also. The Vairupya, his body is worn out, like an old car. The car looked good, but now it's headed for the junk heap, and you can see it. Marana, Abhimukha Grihe, and he's preparing to meet ultimate death, Grihe, at home. He's preparing to meet old age, preparing to meet death at home. Marana Abhimukha Grihe. Instead of being out there in the field, actually doing something, actually fulfilling the purpose of his human life, he's just staying at home. One day is following in the next, and death is approaching him there in his own home. Or now in this age, Agrihe, he's not in his home. He's in some old age home, or what do they call it? Elder care facility or retirement home, or one of those kinds of names for a rather bleak institution, dressed up with some music and some bright lights at Christmas, but it's really a sad place full of old people who aren't really wanted at home, but whose family members are dutiful enough to take them, place them in this nice home, or who have insurance to put them there. But it's a miserable existence. Although he'd like to stay at home, he can't. They can't. I've seen it. The younger people can't maintain the old person. It's so much effort, and there's no one home. In previous days, there was a home with people in it during the day. There was a whole extended family. Now the husband goes off to work, the wife goes off to work. There's nobody home. There's nobody home. The house is empty. Only this old man is there. So death is approaching him, and he's isolated, either isolated at some institution or isolated at home. It's such an unfortunate position. A bright life, but now everything's in decline. But before that comes, one should leave home, and then it's said here, eventually take sannyas and spread Krishna consciousness and make his life glorious by working for the benefit of others. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Panchatattva Prabhu. Wait, Priyanka Mataji has something in the chat. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Does leaving home, okay, is leaving home an option for every devotee reaching old age? If yes, where one should go, as everyone may not be realized enough to take sannyas? And is this only for a man and the woman is supposed to live at home under the care of a guardian?
Well, this is a big topic. I finished the first draft of my book, The Vanaprastha Adventure, which addresses these topics. Is it an option for every devotee reaching old age? Actually, it's supposed to be an imperative for every devotee reaching old age. Prabhupada quotes, Vanam Vrajate, imperative mood, one must. It's not supposed to be an option. If you like, you retire from family life. It's supposed to be, you must. And where should one go? If he's not realized enough to take sannyas, yes, it's understood he may not be realized enough. Vanam gatoyad, vanam gatoyad. One should go to the forest. But now, who will go to the forest? How could one go to the forest? Therefore, Prabhupada said Vrindavan, a holy place like Vrindavan, Mayapur, or there are many other such holy places. One may travel to holy places, as Vidura did, from place to place, or one may reside in one holy place, Vrindavan, Mayapur, Tirupati. There are many holy places, Jagannath Puri. And only the man, or it's mentioned in Manu Samhita and in Srimad Bhagavatam, with or without one's wife. So one may leave and go to these places, or the wife may also come as a voluntary assistant, or she may stay at home. Both possibilities are there. But it's not mentioned, notice it's not mentioned that the wife will also take sannyas and go from door to door. That's not expected. So it's interesting. The instruction is not, what's the word? Like epicene. It's not that it's the same instruction for everyone, men and women, although men and women are equally spiritual living beings, although they're equally expected to become devotees of Krishna, pure devotees of Krishna. Still, the duties are different, differently prescribed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The way Prabhupada phrases it at the very end of the purport, after preparing himself fully, he should become a sannyasi. So what determines that full preparedness?
Mainly detachment. If you're not detachment and dependence on Krishna, because that's what Prabhupada mentions there. The give up family and live alone, and what was it said? Was it here or was it in the previous verse? That he should depend on Krishna. Oh, yeah, previous verse. Employ himself in the Lord's service so that the Lord can take charge of him and he won't be neglected by his kinsmen. So one should have that confidence. Rakshasyati vishvasho. That I don't have to depend on my family members to feed me. I don't have to depend on them to give me a place to live. I don't have to depend on them for anything. And they're not depending on me. Finally, it's Krishna who's depending, supporting them, Krishna who's supporting me. So let me just depend on Krishna. That sense should be there. That sense of dependence on Krishna and service to Krishna, and at the same time, detachment from wife. Not that one takes sannyas and then one goes back. No, my wife was missing me. It was too hard for her. No, he has to be detached. That, all right, Krishna's in charge. He'll take care. Sannyas, complete detachment.
You were quoting a verse, Rakshasi te savish.
Rakshasyati iti vishvasha.
Where can one find this verse?
That's you can find it in the last purport, I believe, to Bhagavad Gita as it is, or toward the end, Sarvadharman Pratyaja. I think it's quoted there. It's where finally it's well, finally, but in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's there. What is it?
Rabbi and Krishna provides it here.
Okay. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjana. Yeah, there it is. Rakshasyati iti vishvasha.
Thanks, Praveen Krishna Prabhu. And thank you, Maharaj Rai Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
Panchatattva Prabhu, are you able to read?
I'm stationary, able to read, afflicted with many illnesses and suffering from dyspepsia, but I can continue.
Hare Krishna.
Or well on the way. Text 15.
Yes.
Astevamotyapanyastaṁ grihapala ivaharan amaya vyapraditagnir alpaharo pacheshtitaha. Thus he remains at home just like a pet dog and eats whatever is so negligently given to him. Afflicted with many illnesses, such as dyspepsia and loss of appetite, he eats only very small morsels of food, and he becomes an invalid who cannot work anymore. Purport. Before meeting death, one is sure to become a diseased invalid. And when he is neglected by his family members, his life becomes less than a dog's, because he is put into so many miserable conditions. The Vedic literatures therefore enjoin that before the arrival of such miserable conditions, one should leave home and die without the knowledge of his family members. If a man leaves home and dies without his family's knowing, that is considered to be a glorious death. But an attached family man wants his family members to carry him in a great procession, even after his death. And although he will not be able to see how the procession goes, he still desires that his body be taken gorgeously in procession. Thus he is happy without even knowing where he has to go when he leaves his body for the next life. So Kapila Dev is being very, very blunt in these verses about the stark truth of material life. And although in modern times we tried to dress up our increasing crisis of debilitated life by distractions, as we mentioned before, you'll have nice music piped in the assisted living facility, or little engagements for all the elderly people to come to in the convalescent home, et cetera, or a TV in every room in front of every person, whittling away at whatever's left of that person's intelligence. The fact of the matter is that this is the truth. The body dwindles, the body becomes it becomes so debilitated that one becomes, practically speaking, less than a dog, because he comes from such a position of thinking himself the provider for his family, to not being able to be even acknowledged, or oftentimes being in a position of being disrespected and neglected by those very same family members, and not just by them, but by society in general. You know, what was it? There is a phrase in German that the Germans used during World War II. It translates as useless eaters. So those who become old and useless and not productive for the state, they were useless eaters. So even your ability to consume food becomes collapsed, because the fire of digestion has become more like a candle or a flicker of digestion. And so many other things happen to the body, some of which I'm already beginning to experience myself. If Prabhupada says, when you're reaching this point, if at least you go away, how does Prabhupada put it? If a man leaves home and dies without his family's knowing, that is considered to be a glorious death. It's detachment. It's detachment. It means, okay, that's enough. Let me do what I can to remember Krishna, and let not this passing be a spectacle for others to be, having a grand procession about. And even if a grand procession goes on, the end result is ashes or food for worms, etc. The grand procession ends in the decomposition of the body and a destination for the conditioned soul, which is unknown by both himself and his, former family members. So Kapila Dev is encouraging us, actually exhorting us, admonishing us not to take the path of attachment to family life to such a ridiculous extent that we don't give it up at some point, but to take the glorious path. Hare Krishna.
Thanks so much, Prabhu. Maharaj, any comments from your side?
Alpahara, alpacheshtitaha. He can't eat much, he can't do much. Alpacheshtitaha means he can't do much. That's what it is. The prawn, the vital energy, is now weak, and as we read in the fourth canto, he's overcome by being attacked by the soldiers of time. So his body is falling apart. He can't do very much. He can't eat very much. This is his miserable existence. Grihapala means the guardian at the door, the dog. That's his qualification. He's not even a good dog. He can hardly bark anymore. So it's a miserable life. And he's, yes, after a life of anyway, I won't go on. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Gurudas Prabhu, please go ahead and read your comment question.
Hey, thank you. So some of what I'm writing is already been covered by this wonderfully intelligent Vaishnava discussion. So my obeisance is, I'm wondering if a person I wrote, I wonder if a person who is ensconced in the world of money, family, etc., but is also using those situations as opportunities for service, The question is whether such a person is even qualified to decide to begin the process of detachment. And what I mean is, he seems to be in a situation, even though there's a part of life that's uselessly devoted to mundane things. It's sort of, you can't get out of it, but also it's an opportunity to channel some resources and work with devotees in the movement and visit places of pilgrimage, temples, etc., festivals. You know, what I'm saying or asking, not sure, is, you know, is such a person even qualified to decide, well, now it's time for me to start, you know, the process of detachment, because not only might not he know what's next, but he might not be very, very good as a traveler or a preacher, or, you know, somebody who is good. I think, you know, as I say, some of this has been nicely covered in our discussion already. So if this is overlap, then I apologize.
From one point of view, no one's qualified to decide. Just like young people, they're not qualified to decide who to marry. So they're told, you marry this one, you marry that one. That's better. Otherwise, all right, you know, they'll decide by their own, in their own way. But the recommended process is let the parents decide. They have better discretion. So from another point, looking at another stage, the old man, he's not qualified. If you ask him to decide, he'll opt for home 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100. Let me stay at home and practice my spiritual life at home, everything at home. Therefore, he's told, Vanam Brajate, Pancha Shoidham, Vanam Brajate, go, get out. When are you qualified? You'll never be qualified. Just get out. Just get out. Yes, no one is ever, or practically no one is qualified. But go. From one point of view, yes, I've seen people who hit the door of opportunity, the window of opportunity, as they say, has closed. They're too old. They can't. It's no longer possible. They're dependent. The time has passed. They're 80. What can they do? So then, all right, stay home, chant Hare Krishna, read Bhagavatam, associate with devotees. It's not a total loss. From any position, one can execute Krishna consciousness. But that shouldn't be taken as a principle or as an excuse that, no, I'll stay home, I'll execute Krishna consciousness. If at all one has the power, one is urged to get out of that family life. And somehow or other, if one hasn't done it, all right, if it's no longer possible, then chant Hare Krishna. If you're not able, you don't have the strength, all right, chant Hare Krishna. Just like Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, if you can't do this, do this. If you can't do this, do that. So it's not, well, go to the forest or forget it. It's all over. You can't do anything. All right, stay home, chant Hare Krishna. But one is urged, no, before that stage comes, get out and develop that dependence on Krishna, and then ideally get out and preach for the benefit of others. And that's what Prabhupada did. That's what Prabhupada instructed.
Jai Maharaj, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Panchatattva Prabhu asks, does at least some of the qualification for
Yes, that's there. Prabhupada, Satsvarup Maharaj one time wrote to Prabhupada early on that I'm not very good at lecturing. And Prabhupada wrote back and said, I also wasn't very good at lecturing when I first started, but basically I learned by doing it. So that's how it works. We're told, do this. All right, I'll do it. Then once you do it, you get some intelligence to Dhammi Buddhi Yogam Tam. That I may do it well, I may not do it very well. We may be surprised because the those who are spreading Krishna consciousness are so rare that even though I may not be very qualified, what I'm able to do is astonishing from the point of view of others. All right, I may just be a castor oil plant, but in a forest with no trees, a castor oil plant is a big tree. So, all right, let me go somewhere and do something. It may be a small contribution. I may not go down in history as the world's greatest preacher, but let me try. Even Prabhupada thought, all right, if I fail, at least let me fail in a new place. So, and he said that to Krishna, that you can make me a success or a failure. That means Prabhupada was ready to accept, all right, it may not go anywhere. Nothing much may happen. It may be a failure, but at least I'll make the attempt. So that idea is there very much, that, all right, let me have that determination, let me have that willingness, that, all right, let me do something. And when we have that willingness, then Krishna reciprocates. All right, here's some people who are interested. Here's someone who's shown an inclination toward Krishna consciousness. Do something. Even if one person, Prabhupada said, if one person becomes Krishna conscious, we consider the whole attempt a success. So we may go somewhere, even if one person hears the message of Krishna, takes an interest, then we've done something glorious. So yes, one should try for it. And Krishna will reciprocate, definitely.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Praveen Krishna Prabhu says, one pious man was sharing with me that his grandfather left home and never came back. I could see his pride in letting me know that. Among pious circles, it is considered glorious.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks for that, Prabhu. Radhesha Prabhu, we're up to text. Oh, sorry.
Just what I'm thinking about it, that I think Vrindavan Chandra Day was interviewed. How did you feel when Prabhupada was getting on the ship? He said, I felt proud. I felt proud of my father. Hare Krishna.
Oh,
All right.
I didn't see, sorry, just a moment. I didn't see a hand up, but Tulsi Priya has her hand up. Please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hi, Krishna. I was just thinking about something Maharaj was mentioning, how we become useless as we grow older, and part of a forum where people write in to discuss their problems and issues with dealing with aging parents. And I know there's this selection bias at play, but the usual lament is that they're working themselves to an early death, taking care of a parent who doesn't want to cooperate, doesn't want to take care of themselves, doesn't want to do anything to improve their health. And generally the advice is, well, they're 85, let them do what they want. If they want to eat sweets and they're diabetic, let them, don't, and the common mantra there is, don't set yourself on fire to keep another person warm. And one of the latest ones is an old man who he's got a terminal illness, and the doctors say you should go into hospice, but he wants to try every new treatment. So he keeps going for these treatments to keep to keep himself alive for another few months. And his wife is working herself to death, taking care of him. And the son was writing in saying, I have to quit my job so I can help my mother care for him. And he won't give up. He won't let it rest. So it reminds me of there's a book by a Dr. Atul Gawande called Being Mortal, and it discusses, how the whole medical complex, is keeps offering people treatments to stay alive, but the quality of life deteriorates. And there was another article by a famous oncologist. So he comes from a very esteemed family. And he says, I plan to take no medical treatment after the age of 75. So I'm going to share the links because it gave me a lot of food for thought. And the book by Atul Gawande is basically, think now about what you want to do for your medical care, when you reach a certain age, because, the medical profession will not stop, until you say stop, and you can keep yourself in a very pitiable condition for a long time because you take medical care when you could, maybe die earlier, but less miserably, if you think about what you want to do before you go. I'll put the links in the chat if that's all right.
Yes. Good. All right. Thank you very much for that. All right. Hare Krishna. So let's see. Oh, we're at 7:55. It's time for kirtan. So Radhesha Prabhu, instead of reading another verse, perhaps you'd like to lead a kirtan.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramamsa Parivrajakacharya Stotra Shata Shishima Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramamsa Parivrajakacharya Stotra Shata Shishima Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikhor Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamkund Radhakund Giri Govardhana ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. All glorious to some devotees, Hare Krishna. All glorious to some devotees, all glorious to some devotees. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Radhesha.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you.
Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you. Hare
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everybody, so much for your participation. Thank you, especially Maharaj, for being with us again. Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes.
Thank you
Srimad
again.
Bhagavatam ki Jai.
Jai,
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai,
His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami ki Jai.
Jai,
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai.
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 Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Haribol. Nice class.
I just realized I sent the links to you privately. I'm going to post them in the chat here. If anybody wants to copy.
Anyone
I see
know
them.
how to
Thank you.
save the chat?
Yes, you go down to the bottom of your chat window and it should say something. There should be an option there to keep the chat.
You used to be in this Sangha, but if you check, you'll see that.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it now. I don't know why it's not doing it.
Yeah.
If it's small enough to fit on the screen, you could always do a screenshot if you're on your phone or on your computer.
Well, no, my goal is to save the entire chat, but that's
Yeah, that's
probably,
tricky.
Yeah, if you want, I save it automatically as part of being the co-host or the host, so I can email it to you. Can you chat me your email address? Because I was looking for it the other day in my email program and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then yeah.
Can you send that right now?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
And then I will send you the chat.
Okay.
Or you can send it to my husband.
No, it's coming right now.
Okay. Okay. Oops. yogabhakta@yahoo.com. All right, then. I guess we can shut down.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Guru Das Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.